Matt Doherty, who's our Director of Player Personnel, has done an unbelievable job in getting this program in terms of recruiting to where I believe it needs to be. We've committed a lot of resources to our recruiting and personnel department. We have an outstanding group of guys over there and females over there that have done an amazing job on our official visits, on scheduling all of our coaches' travel. Our coaches have done an amazing job. The evaluation, the amount of work that goes into signing a class right now. Currently, we have 21 signed. Additionally, we probably will have another 5 to 10 preferred walk-ons that will join our program. And then I would assume there'll be a few more high school players and a few transfers. So all in all, looking to bring in a big group moving forward. I want to start by just saying in-state was a big part of what we wanted to get done, and I think we signed 4 really, really good players in-state. They were committed to us from the beginning for a long time. Grayson Stovall, Deuce Davis, Isaiah Johnson, and Tyler Powell, 4 guys that I believe will impact our program, both in the trenches, offensive line and defensive line, and then tight end who's got all the upside in the world. We'll go through the rest of the signees here with you guys, but I'd just say that all in all, this has been one heck of a day for Arizona football, and there's nothing that matters more than players. Coach Spurrier used to always say, how do you win on the road? You bring a good team. And we're going to continue to build this program with great players. Right now, it looks like we'll have somewhere between, we'll call it 10 to 12 players in the top 1,000. We have not had more than 6 in the last decade. We'll have somewhere in the range of being a top 1 or 2 class in the Pac-12. We haven't been there in the last 15 years. I think we are looking at a class right now that believes in what we're telling them. They believe in what our program is looking to establish. They did not evaluate us on our record this past season. They evaluated us on our track record over the history of all of our coaching tenures. All of us have coached a lot of great players and have had a lot of success coaching on the field. And with that, they believe in and they listen to that message, and they want to be a part of it. And that's been the coolest thing and the greatest part of our program. I turn over to Matt to just say a couple things about his role in building this. Matt and I worked together in 2011 and 12 at the University of Miami. We saw it firsthand what it needs to look like. We worked at Michigan together, and now here I think he's got a better feel than anybody when it comes to the recruiting landscape.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and I'll try not to be long-winded other than just to say, I'm simply lucky enough to be the representative of a lot of people who put in a lot of time and a lot of incredibly hard work to get done what got done today and what is still in progress. And as Coach alluded to, we've got a lot of men and women downstairs who have executed their jobs with tremendous proficiency, and I'm just lucky to go to work with them every day. When we got here, obviously, the outlook was, I don't want to say bleak, but the aggression on the recruiting front could have been improved, and I think we set out to improve that and did so. The talent in terms of immediate impact, I guess that's yet to be seen. Sometimes you know what you're going to get as far as what the contribution is going to be from a player right out of the gate. Other times you're surprised. Other times you realize it's going to take a bit of development before that contribution really breaks through. But as far as this group is concerned today, we feel like the talent level has been ratcheted up pretty considerably. And we're not done yet. Frankly, we won't be done at any point because then it's just on to the next crop. But as far as what we've done today, and what we hope to accomplish before the end of today and into the coming days, I feel like we have taken an enormous step in the right direction under Coach Fisch's leadership, and there's more to come. Best I can say it.
Question. Mike, how important was it to land commitment early on from Noah Fifita, and then what role did he play in sort of being a Pied Piper for some other guys to follow?
Yeah, so, first off, that group from Servite High School initially, and then as it kind of grew to all of Juice County, as we said, but all of Orange County and the Trinity League were all impacted by Noah's commitment, and Noah standing by his commitment throughout the entire year. Noah has been committed, I believe, April 4th, I think I saw something, somewhere in that range, April or May, when he officially committed to us. I think it was April 4th. And with that time, Noah's picked up offer after offer, opportunity after opportunity, and all he did was just recruit for us. He's going to be a special player. I think anybody that watches film, anybody that knows what he's done, what they've done at Servite, they got to Servite, that group, and Servite hadn't beat Bosco in 10 years. They go ahead and beat Bosco. They haven't won the Trinity League or been really as competitive over a span of time until his class arrived. And what he and Kian and Jacob and others have done for Servite football has been tremendous. But for us to be able to get Noah first, and then Kian made a change from his initial pick to where he then chose to come play for us. Kian having his dad who played at Desert Swarm, Noah and Kian's connection and combination has been tremendous. And then we go out there and watch those two guys play and see how good Jacob Manu is. And we said, we got to get that linebacker on our team as well. Next, Noah's now helping us there. And we're able to bring in the defensive MVP of the Trinity League, the offensive MVP of the Trinity League, okay, and then the first team all offensive player and Kian Burnett of the Trinity League all on one team. That then led to being able to sign a guy like Tai Tai from Modern Day. And now his relationship with A, the Fafitas, B, the relationship with all of that community of Bosco, Modern Day, Servite, and the competitions. They're like, hey, we want to be a part of what's going on over there. So now we're able to bring him into the mix, and now we've got those four guys, potentially others, in that league, and now you're really making an impact, and you're saying that league matters. And then when you get those guys, the next set of guys say, well, we want in. And that obviously we ended up batting 1,000 this past weekend with guys up in California area where they all know Noah, they all know Kian, they all know Jacob and such. And then you get guys like Ephesians Prysock. You get guys like Kevin Green Jr. You get guys that want to be a part of what we're doing. And now you've got two elite players from Bishop Alemany that are like, well, we want to play with Noah. We want to play with Kian. And we want to play with A.J. Jones from Colony High School because we all played 7-on-7 together. We were all part of the premium team. So now you get those guys, and then Isaiah Ward jumps in the boat and he says, well, wait a second. If A.J. is my best buddy and he's going there, why do I need to go to another school? Why do I need to go to one of the other Pac-12 schools that want me? I want to go play with A.J. I love the family commitment we have here to build this program up. And then we start looking at building a class that ends up being, one of the elite ones, certainly on the West Coast and in the country. And I'm excited to see what else it has. Yeah. Kian Burnett is a very special player because he has size, speed, intelligence, and an incredible work ethic. Comes from an amazing family, wants to be great, has seen Arizona great in the past or heard about it from his dad, wants to be a part of bringing the traditions back to when his dad played here at Desert Swarm. And then you look at raw talent. I would say raw talent, raw natural ability. And you want to talk about another monster recruiter for us and somebody that is just so involved in trying to shape this program. He and his family have been just outstanding in not only being on board, I should say getting on board, being on board, staying on board, and then really helping right the ship. We know we need a few of these classes. I think our basketball team has been 1, 2, and 6 the last 4 years in the Pac-12. You need classes that are like that in order to go undefeated, to go run the table. We recognize that. I study that. I look to see what it takes to be able to get to this place of where our basketball program is currently. And it's, you better be great recruiters and sign great classes. And this is our first step in getting that done.
How important is it to get guys to come to the league?
Enormously important. When I look down our list of guys that we signed, when you look at Stovall and Davis from Hamilton, Johnson from Chandler, okay, then you start going down and you look at what Noah, Kian, okay, did at Servite with Jacob. These are all state championship programs. Then you go to Colony High School, state championship program. Lost by a point in the state championship game. Then you go down and you start looking to see Oaks Christian, always a monster competitor, won the last 7 games in a row. Modern Day, Colony again, Servite again, Bishop Alemany state championship program, Miami Palmetto, another well-known program. You know, to me, it's get as many of these guys as you possibly can. Bring as many winners into here as you possibly can. Every one of these guys, Brophy Prep, another one, okay? All of these guys are coming in here, and they only know winning. We talked last season about how many guys in your locker room haven't won a game in Tucson or whatever the question was back then. The fact of the matter is all of these guys haven't won nor lost a game in Tucson. And the goal is to make sure that we can bring all these winners in here that continue to rub off on the guys that we have and the leaders of our football team that are returning. I can't wait to watch those guys develop, watch how good our team's going to be starting January 12th in that weight room and see the commitment that our current team has in changing the culture of Arizona football.
Michael, for Matt, what positions did you really want to attack in this class? And then what positions do you feel like maybe still need a little bit more work in the transfer portal?
Right. Quarterback, I know you asked a question about Noah and how important that was to get him secured as early as possible. All other positions, meaning all prospects at every other position, are watching who you're taking at quarterback. They're watching that you're taking a quarterback. And it's very typical that the programs that don't secure that, there just seems to be something wrong with that program in the eyes of the other players that you're trying to pursue. So I would say that first and foremost, I would be hard pressed to say, not to speak out of turn, coach, the quarterback will probably be the most important pursuit every single year for us in one way or another. But beyond that, just in executing what we're trying to get done as far as building this team in Coach Fisch's image, we want to be very line of scrimmage centric. And we knew you can't go wrong taking big athletic bodies up front and developing them into what you hope to be dominant players, quite frankly, but at the very least, a problem for your opposition in one context or another. So offense and defensive line will always be an emphasis for us, but certainly was here as evidenced in our pursuits all the way down to the wire with a Ty Uyangalele or a Jacob Reese and players of that caliber who fit the specifications of what we're trying to look like on either side of the ball from a height, weight, speed standpoint, from a skill set standpoint, secondary sports played, and just indicators of athletic ability that remove uncertainty and allow us to approach these in a way that allows us to believe that their development is going to take shape the way we want it to. So as far as moving forward, I think right now we're in the business of difference makers. The best players available are the ones that will be considered. So it's hard to pinpoint a specific position where we feel like we came up short, because we don't feel that way. We feel like we're pretty balanced, and we hit on high value targets all the way across the board on either side of the ball in every phase. So we will evaluate what the market yields, and ultimately it will be Coach Fisch's call in terms of what we move on in the coming days and weeks. But the way things are structured now in college football, your roster's not going to be set at the end of signing day like it has been in years past. This is going to be all the way up to August. This is going to be all the way up to the start of fall camp. And that's not just us. That's every college football team, at least the 120 some odd Division I teams, because talent acquisition has changed drastically. And so you can't just hold serve and say this is going to be our 2022 team. It's going to be a march right up to the starting line in terms of fall camp in August. So we'll evaluate whatever comes down the pike and act accordingly.
Greg, when you got here about a year ago and you had a chance to draft the recruiting situation, did you have any kind of feeling of being overwhelmed?
No, I didn't feel that we were overwhelmed, or I didn't feel overwhelmed. I felt like it was going to be a full-time job to be able to get to where we need to be in this year, in this one cycle. The class was signed prior to my arrival, so our first class is this class. The last class was signed, I think, on December 15th. I was hired December 28th, showed up on campus. So I actually met our last signing class on Zoom when they were coming to school. So this group is one that we targeted right off the bat. How are we going to build this program? We had to evaluate our team first. I think that was the most, I don't want to call it the most overwhelming by any means, but I would say it was the most time consuming, was to figure out exactly who we had. What did this team look like? We had 118 players. How are we going to get the roster the way we needed to get the roster? Where was the roster headed? Where our deficiencies were? Where were we very strong at? I believe that we have an NFL secondary coming back. So we knew we had to make decisions based on that. Once I saw how Jackson Turner and CY and C-Row and Isaiah Rutherford ends up playing and Stukes ends up playing, now they're like, okay, I like what we got there. Now, how are we going to build off of that? How many years are we going to have them? So you start not only evaluating your players, you then have to start looking to see how much time do you have with them? What's the roster management going to look like? We're going to get all three of those guys back. I believe after the end of this year, all three of them will end up going to the NFL at the end of next season. So we had to make sure we restocked, retooled, and got better and got ready to go. So when the time was right, we were able to roll. We were able to sign Isaiah Taylor last year. We were able to sign Anthony Simpson last year, and those were the two spots we had. So both of those guys are going to make big impacts. Anthony Simpson started for us. Isaiah Taylor will make a huge impact. And then to get back to really the other part of the recruiting side of it is you have to figure out exactly the needs once you evaluate. And as you mentioned, Michael, about the needs of, we needed to build an inside out. I think sometimes you fall into the trap of always wanting playmakers, always wanting to find guys outside, see what that looks like. We wanted to build it inside out. That is, that's a Bill Walshism, a Bill Belichickism, whatever it might be, but you always want to win down the middle. So safety, Mike linebacker, nose guard, center, quarterback, halfback, okay, and build it inside out that way by signing Jonah Coleman, Noah Fafita, Grayson Stovall, then Jacob Reese and Jonah Sevenea on either side of him, then Isaiah Johnson on his side, then Tyler Martin, the Mike linebacker, and then obviously we're able to, I really believe in our safeties that we have, and then we added a big nickel as a UCLA transfer this morning. We were able to take care of the inside out. So it's been fun this past year on the recruiting side, I can tell you that.
Given the amount of guys you signed today, how active do you expect to be in the transfer?
I think we have the freedom here to be able to bring in maybe 7 to 10 players if so needed. I don't know if we'll get that high. I know that will kind of be our roster freedom. What we end up doing with that, we'll take a peek at. We'll look at who we want to bring in. You start bringing in older guys, you got to figure out, are they going to play now? You start bringing in younger guys, and it's just like bringing in a high school kid. So you got to just figure out where your roster is. Right now, to me, I love where we're at. Might be able to pick or choose one or two early on, and then figure out in January what the rest of it looks like.
With the offensive line going back to that, that you guys signed, was it a point of emphasis to get guys that are downhill aggressive runners? Because on tape they seem like those guys are out.
Yes. It was a huge point of emphasis to bring in big, physical, strong, athletic men. Those guys, when you look at them, they're all over 300 pounds, or the two inside guards are, both Reese and Savanea. Grayson Stovall has been an unreal recruit for us. He's from a winning team. He's smart as can be. He's tough and strong. He's a center, and he's going to be a really good center for us. And when you look at the way these guys play, is we have to be able to run power schemes and gap schemes and run inside the tackles, and that downhill running game, you're allowed to be able to do that when you get guys like that. Yeah. Well, yes and no. I can clarify that a little bit because it's kind of be a hybrid of being an outside linebacker, pass rushing end.
Recruiting is very competitive. I'm sure other schools took advantage of Arizona last year. How much was there an opportunity for the coaching changes at USC or with Washington for you guys to go in
Well, there's
and there might have been?
Well, there's always going to be opportunity, and there's always going to be coaching changes. I would say, we took advantage of every opportunity we had to build this roster up the best we possibly could by bringing in great coaches, by bringing in a great personnel department, by doing a ton of research and working tireless hours and really not caring about the amount of hours you had to work or the lack of sleep. We wanted to build this roster. We owe it to Tucson to be able to have a football team out here that we are all proud of, that we can go win a bunch of games. Our guys, I'm proud of every player on our team this season. And what I want to give our team coming back is some more bullets to fire and more points to score and more opportunities to get better, because the kids that are playing on our football team want to win, and our community wants us to win. So we took a very aggressive approach in recruiting, that every day, no matter what was going on, we're going to find ways to recruit. I don't care if it was Saturday after a loss. I don't care if it was Sunday after a loss. I don't care if it was Saturday after the Cal win. I don't care, whatever it was. We were never going to miss a day to recruit and to build this roster up. So whatever coaching changes happened, they happened. But we weren't going to stand pat and not let that become a priority for us. And then the second part of it with Deuce Lane is a huge part of our program. There's a huge get for University of Arizona. He's been committed to us. It was his family was incredible from the very beginning. They were at my house in June for an official visit. They committed to us. They came back at Desert Stars, I believe, and committed.
That's right.
And stayed committed. No matter what program came in, no matter if it was a team in the playoffs, no matter if it was a team that was a dominant force or not, they were phenomenal. I was at their home last week or 2 weeks ago. Amazing then, too. He's going to be a pass rusher. He's going to have his both hand in the ground probably as an open side rusher to get sacks. He might be able to play some outside backer for us. Who knows? But I see that guy impacting the game immediately.
Time for a couple more. Damien and Michael. Let me talk about it just a second ago. Describing this process as fun, but then also listing off the responsibilities that go into this process. Really, what was the experience like hitting the road with Block A and getting to these homes and talking to parents and what was that experience like?
Well, I got to tell you, there's no better time to be hitting the road with the Block A than these last 3 weeks. You got an undefeated women's basketball team. You got an undefeated men's basketball team. You're beating Michigan in men's basketball. You're beating Illinois during an official visit. I mean, we had 6 people at my house plus, I think, 30 family members probably, and we're all standing around the TV watching us win a game against Illinois. I mean, that's when you want to hit the road with a Block A. It is awesome because you're selling the university. You're able to sell what's going on here. And the best thing that we were able to tell every one of these families was, you see the energy, you see the passion, and you see what's going on at McHale, and you see our women's hoops teams are putting 7 or 10,000. I think I saw there were 7,000 people at the game the other day. Okay, we've got 53,000 seats here. Let's put them all here also. And let's start winning as many games as they're winning. And that starts with the players on our team, the players coming into our team, and be able to be a part of something awfully special. So it has been the best time to hit it because of the fact that you've got winning programs surrounding you, and that Block A means a lot right now.
We'll finish with Michael. I have one for Matt and two.
No problem. We got time.
For Matt, can you explain how the +7 system works that they implemented for this
Yep.
year? And is that tied into a date when the guys go into the portal that you're going to be?
Yeah, the +7, is everybody familiar with what he's asking? This blanket waiver was enacted by the NCAA to mitigate some of the chunks being bitten out of rosters across college football with the ease with which people can transfer from one program to the next now. So obviously there's now a one-time exception as far as you can transfer from school A to school B without having to sit out the customary season that it used to cost you. That's gone. So with the, as I was saying, with the ease with which you can move from place to place, it was becoming increasingly apparent that pretty much no program in America was going to operate at 85 scholarships, and not just below 85, like pretty significantly below 85. And once you drift into a certain number underneath that cap, you start to worry about the safety and health of your players because of a whole host of reasons you can probably figure out. But what the NCAA has done, at least for this offseason, and hopefully it becomes a more permanent measure, is allows you to basically replace one for one. If a player walks out the door, you can bring one in right off the street, for lack of a better term, to replace that player and keep your numbers at a healthy, quote unquote, place. And that is up to 7 players. They capped that at 7. So in order for that to be, in order for you to take advantage of that, you have to have players leave your program by the end of the, at least the way it's written now, by the end of the fall semester. Meaning they need to go into the portal by, let's say, December, what's today, the 15th. By December 15th, they need to be in the portal, and they cannot have withdrawn from classes. So if those 2 boxes are checked and that player leaves your program, well, now that is one of the 7 allowable openings on your roster that you can replace immediately, in addition to the initial scholarships that you are afforded every single year in the offseason. So every college football program is afforded 25 initial scholarships every year. Okay, that's whether or not you have space for it. You have 25 to give, but you also have to manage your 85. You need to not go over that number, otherwise risk significant penalty. That's not a scenario you want to drift into. So I hope that wasn't too convoluted an answer to your question. They need to be in the portal by a certain date, which is the end of the fall semester, at which point they are eligible to be one of the 7 you can replace with this blanket waiver.
Yeah, I guess the confusing part, I guess, among the conversations we've been having is, I think a lot of us thought that it started like on December 15th or later. You're sort of saying they have to be in by.
That was the understanding at first, even on our side, but with our compliance professionals and their interpretation of the language within the waiver, it is, I don't want to say maybe retroactively counting people is or isn't the right way to frame it, but they need to be in the portal and have not withdrawn from classes at school. They need to finish out the semester, in other words.
Okay, Jedd, what do you envision doing as far as the quarterback room goes? There's a lot of big names out there in the portal. You've got guys who played well for stretches last year. You've got freshmen coming in. What do you think is the plan for that position?
I would say, just like most positions right now, we're going to be able to look at, is there a candidate or so that's going to come in and help us win immediately? And if there is that, we would not pass that up in any spot. I feel very good about our quarterback room right now. I think Will showed that he improved each week. I think we know Jordan had an opportunity in the 2 games that he played. But we also have a quarterback room that's pretty beaten up. So I've got to figure out what we need to do in terms of our numbers. I don't envision Gunner being able to play at all in the spring. Jordan is coming off of ankle surgery, so I got to see where he's at. Will is in a spot where we have to see if how healthy he'll be. I feel like he should be fine. So with that being the case, I don't want to go into a spring again or any season again that I only have 3 guys or 2 guys or 1 guy. So we're going to keep that open. The good part is Noah is coming in January. So we don't have to feel like there's this sudden urge that we have to get a guy in here right now. But we do recognize that there are some quarterbacks out there, and we do have an injured room. So hopefully we'll be a healthy room and figure that out.
And what positions are Johnny and Jason going to coach?
Johnny is going to coach the inside linebackers, similar to the exact same capacity as Coach Brown was. And Coach Kafusi is going to coach the pass rushers and outside linebackers. So call it the defensive ends and outside linebackers. And then Coach Hunley will coach the 2 interior defensive linemen. And that was kind of his role at UCLA. So it's the same position. The way Johnny coached the whole front at UCLA. Now he's going to coach the inside backers like he did at USC.
Will Jordan Pau share special teams?
With Jason. Coach Kafusi and Coach Pau will take care of the special teams. I would say one other thing about the group that came this weekend. We were able to bring in 7 players this weekend. And even with Ty coming the Sunday after the Mater Dei game, with Ephesians Pricesock and with Kevin Green Jr. coming in, with couple other guys that came in this past weekend, was a very, very special group. And when Tacario Davis, and all of a sudden these guys came in and all committed. And it was the coolest day we've had here. That Saturday during that game, I know Shear was all mad at me that we had a commitment right at tip-off. But we did, okay? We did. I wasn't going to hold it. So we wound up having, Isaiah Ward, commit on that day. Kevin Green commit on that day. Ephesians commit on that day. G7 commit on that day. One of the most famous kids from Miami that I've ever been around. This kid, there's not a player on our team that didn't know who G7 was. So we got a nickel coming in from Miami. He committed on that the next day, that Sunday or Saturday night. So the energy around the program at that time was just amazing. And I'm hoping that day is really the first day to what is going to be a lot of bigger, brighter, and better things for Arizona football. And today was a great day as well.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.